Hello everyone, this is John with another episode of Out of Isolation, the show where us tour guides take you out into the world so you don't have to go yourself. Today I am coming to you live from my office. That's my office right over there. Obviously I can't go in my office right now because of the isolation restrictions, but I wanted to take you here because of my neighbor. My neighbor across the street, right here in this building, is the Premier of Victoria. That's the office of the Premier. Over there, the office of the Department of Education. And this is something we've seen a lot in the news. It's actually been really interesting for me with all of the coronavirus coverage, watching my neighborhood, my office neighborhood, get covered so much. Daniel Andrews is the Premier of Victoria. It's the equivalent in the US of a governor, for example. And he's been having to tackle a lot of the coronavirus issues. He's been in the media quite a bit. He's a reasonably popular guy, actually, for a politician here in Victoria. And to thank him, we give him one of the best gardens you could possibly imagine. And that's what I actually want to focus on today. Ooh, I'm gonna get lost. This whole government area is just totally filled with little nooks and crannies that you can get totally turned around in. So I'm just gonna go the way that I know works. Melbourne is filled with some amazing gardens, Fitzroy Gardens, Carlton Gardens, the Royal Botanic Gardens, and they're definitely worth your time to check out. One that often gets forgotten though is just next to the Fitzroy Gardens. It's just simply called the Treasury Gardens. It's just next to the old Treasury building, and it is my favorite. It's a little bit understated. They have these beautiful memorials inside it, and also these trees that have some very special visitors that I want to show you today. One thing that you need to know if you know about the parks of Melbourne though, is that our gardens were built outside of our city center with the express intention of letting people get outside the city. The idea, one of the ideas, there's actually a term that city planners use and environmentalists as well called the urban heat island effect. In general, temperatures just a block that way are a few degrees higher than temperatures in an area where you're surrounded by green. It makes sense when you think about it. These are softer materials that absorb the heat. And so while I've got the big skyline behind me, you guys who watched the toilets video will remember being up on the top of that one, Melbourne's prettiest toilets. You can go back and look at that one. But going from that building there to this beautiful garden over here changes the temperature pretty tremendously. These gardens have seen quite a bit of transformation in recent times, and just in general. Actually, before I go over that garden, I need to show you this. Another thing I really love. Outside the Department of Education is my favorite royal crest. So Australia is filled with royal crests, even though we're part of the Commonwealth, but we are functionally independent. We still have all these great examples of crests, like that one behind me. If you're not aware, the royal crest always will have on it a unicorn on that side and a lion to that side. A unicorn represents Scotland, a lion represents England. The English are very proud of calling Scotland part of their own country. The Scottish people have a little bit of objection to that. You can talk to one yourself if you want to find out. But that's why the unicorn is actually in chains. You can actually see the chains that are tying that thing down. Also, you'll notice a harp on there. I love this. When the countries of the world all got together and said, hey, we all are gonna have a national animal. The countries of the United Kingdom, they maybe didn't pass the test very well. England said, yes, we're gonna have a lion. Scotland said a unicorn. And so we never said you could have mythical beasts, but you know, that's what Scotland did. So they get a unicorn. Meanwhile, the Irish just went aside and never even picked an animal. They picked an instrument, a harp. Is the national symbol of Ireland. And so I'm an Irish citizen, as a matter of fact. My full name is John Francis O'Sullivan. And so when I have my passport, it has a harp right on the front. It's also why you have the Irish beer called harp. Anyway, that is a beautiful royal crest. Behind me is a beautiful Treasury Gardens, which we're just gonna walk into right now. The Treasury Gardens are meant to look like you're escaping into nature. The traditional, we call them English gardens. So an English garden is differentiated from a French garden because a French garden, like at the Palace at Versailles, is all about man dominating nature. And so you have these very geometric shapes and rounded hedges. An English garden is about escaping the city to become one with nature. And so when you look at just the terraform behind me, you'll see the city trying to give the illusion that we are in nature. Now, we are not in nature, because I'll tell you what, nature does not make very straight footpaths going down with perfect trees lining that footpath. It's all an illusion. It's all a creation either way, but it's supposed to give you that bit of an impression, at least. When you come down these little paths here, you get these beautiful trees. And if you're ever trying to figure out what trees you're seeing, there's a website you need to visit. It is called the Urban Forest Visual. You have to type in City of Melbourne Urban Forest Visual on Google, and you are going to see an incredible map of every single tree in Melbourne. And so when you pass a beautiful tree like this one, actually, you know what I'll do? I'll put the statistics up on the screen of what I found out on the website about this tree. It will tell me the kind of tree that it is. It's a fig tree. It'll tell me the age that it is. It will tell me the life expectancy, and it will tell me the health. The idea of these, this map that would identify all the trees, is that now if a tree branch fell down, a citizen could call in and say, hey, it's that tree, tree number 8765321. But what happened is that to create a reporting practice for this, the city had this option that you could email a tree. So if you go on this website, you find your tree, you can hit email a tree, and then you can send it a message. When they did this, people from around the world wrote in. People from Russia, from Germany, from Chile, and they wrote in and started writing emails to trees. And so if you were looking for something to do to kill time right now, go to the City of Melbourne's Urban Forest Visual, pick your favorite tree, and send it an email. The city will reply to you. I'm sorry, the tree will reply to you. I did it myself. It took about 2 weeks, because I imagine this isn't the top of their priority list, but they reply to every single email. And so you can write a tree a love letter. And that's a really fun thing to do if you're like me and a big geek. Last thing I want to mention, I wanted to come here in particular to see a new memorial that went up. For decades, this park has been the site of the JFK Memorial. When John F. Kennedy, the president of the US, was assassinated in the 1960s, 1963, they put a memorial up for him. But just last year, they agreed to remove it. They put it somewhere else, I'm not quite sure where. But they removed it to put in this memorial, which I'm actually seeing right now with you for the first time. It's a memorial to the Firies, the people who fought the terrible fires. It's something that we're all very aware of this year, thanks to the devastating effects of the bushfires of 2019 and 2020. Here we have the sign here, Victorian Emergency Services Memorial. But this memorial was actually created for the bushfires 10 years ago. Just as devastating fires that took place. And so what we have here is a memorial to all the people who have lost their lives. We also have Ambulance Victoria represented down here. I'm actually quite impressed. This is really something. And then also at regular intervals, these little things here, these black things, will shoot out this kind of steam that resembles smoke from the fires. They've added all these water features in there, and then they also have put these names down as well. So anyway, this has been the Treasury Gardens. If you want to come down here, it's just very easy to do so. The best way to get here is via Parliament Station. You can also just come on any of the trams that go down Spring Street over that way. I'm gonna say goodbye from here. My name is John. This has been Out of Isolation, video production of Walks 101. We are a walking tour company filled with tour guides who need things to do, hence this video. If you guys would like to help out, there's something huge that you could do, and that's just to subscribe. YouTube puts a lot of features that are available to us if you hit the subscribe button. So please, 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 if you've watched this video this far, hit subscribe on there. It costs you nothing and helps us out a whole lot. See you very soon.